a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's LinkedIn Live, the Hour of Empower. I am so honored and grateful to have Dr. Constance Leyland here today. And most of you know her already. This has been just a fabulous show this last few weeks. The audience continues to grow. The interaction is getting deeper and richer and more positive, which is just great. So we depend on your comments to kind of redirect our attention and try to give you as many quality takeaways as we can today. The key word is character. So, we're always going to try to come back to that and shape this around that. But like we have learned over last few weeks of doing the keyword, it can mean so many different things to so many different people, especially based on context, delivery. So with that, I want to introduce Dr. Constance, and she can share a little bit about an update and what her thoughts are towards character.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be here. I love it. I love the energy that Don has. It's amazing. Everyone's like, whose show? Grandpa Don? Yes, Grandpa Don. Especially Paul, and he's like, Grandpa Don show? I'm like, yes, Grandpa Don. Rocky, hello, sister. Thank you for being here. I know Sia has her own show too, so they're doing probably two things. So I want to go back to character. So when you actually said that, I was kind of giddy up and I'm like, oh, I love this. Because to me, character refers to the moral and ethical qualities, not even standards, but qualities that define an individual's behavior, actions, and of course their values. It also encompasses like a person's fundamental nature, right? Like guiding principles, how they conduct themselves in various situations. Um, Character is not something that can be easily measured. I don't see it being measurable, but it can be seen. To me, it's more of a reflected in one's thoughts, choices, and also interactions with other people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I loved your thoughts on that. I think one can align character with reputation, right? Based on the character you project. In a way, a character is like an emoji too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, boy, that person was an interesting character, or versus, or not versus, but maybe in addition to, that person has a lot of integrity. Usually, when people say character, it's like you can trust that person, or they're a good person, they're a giver, could be part of one's character. And then there's bad characters. So a character by itself is a neutral thing until you apply it to a person, and then based on their attributes, their activities. I think that's where we get a little bit deeper and richer here, is because if you can redefine a word that you took for granted or had just a normal, regular, everyday response to that word, you can take the rest of your vocabulary and start to question, how am I seeing words? How am I responding to words? And what are the intention of these words? And it makes you become more aware. But really quick, I just want to go through the names. Rocky's here. She's just great. I'm going to have her on a show. So many wonderful people. Kinga, I had a great talk with her yesterday afternoon. Unbelievable person. Getting her on the show. More visibility, more people can share their true voice with people who are really here to listen and want to hear what you have to say, can be so empowering. Harvey's here. Harvey does Fridays. Hi, Harvey. Great guy. Paul, Constance, I'm gratefully here to support you both. Paul's here every day and is always supportive. I don't know how he gets the time to do everything, because wherever I go, he's already there. Dean's here. You got to know Dean. He was on the show a few weeks ago. Great guy, great story. Harvey, Olu's here. Olu's always contributing. We've got, looks like Roxanne possibly, Olu, AK Moss. So we caught up. Thank you all for coming today and participating, and we depend on you. So, Constance, what do you think?
I love it. I'm glad Brother O's here and Sister Raquel's here. Everyone is here that I know, except for, of course, the LinkedIn user. I don't know. Asif, I think I saw, but thank you so much for being here today. You know me, I'm very structured in the conversation on everything I do. So I have three elements that I wanted to integrate in the conversation of character. And I think I look at it also not just for personal, but more a professional journey. And basically, the significance of the three elements that I want to talk about. The first thing is integrity, the second is empathy, and the third thing is authenticity, because I think those three words are often used. And I feel like it, it's losing its luster when I see people that are, we talked about this before, you come onto the show, that I have learned so much in my journey doing live LinkedIn. I've done podcasting now for about a little over a year, an audio podcasting. And then this is live stream, obviously. I've learned that some people gravitate to you not because they believe in your mission or they believe in you as a person, but they have intentions behind why they're doing it. And that in itself is a character, right? That to me is more of an integrity. No one really sees it, right? Until something happens. So integrity for me is fuels trust and establishes us like a dependable person, an honest person, right? It guides our moral and ethical choices, especially when we're faced with challenging situations. A person to me with integrity gains the respect, not only to me, but to the rest of the people who are close to me, but also admiration of everyone, really. It also fosters a culture of transparency and accountability. What do you think about integrity?
I think integrity has a lot to do with authenticity. And in today's world where you don't know if it's a person or if it's not or a combination, it's the ability to trust who you see, what you see, and question. To really know someone's character, I mean, you always have these people who have images of themselves, right? A movie star, and you think they're that person, and then someone sees them in reality and says, boy, that person's an awful person, right? And the difference is what did you think versus what was the reality of the person's character? Because, like we talked about previously, a lot of people can talk a good game, and a lot of people are too trusting up front. So that puts you in a situation of risk at a certain point. But in essence, it comes down to what do people show their character in their actions towards you and others. I always learned that how people talk about other people is exactly how they're going to talk about you, right?
Oh,
So if someone's saying, hey, Jim is this and Jim is that and Rose is that, and all of a sudden like, I know my name's going to be in the next conversation, right? And do I want that? And that's the key, is identifying character early on. And when you can't really identify it the way you want, ask a question of the person. Get some help from the person to say, there's something curious that just came up without judgment. I'd like you to to share something with me. But whatever it is, looking for people of high character is a worthwhile pursuit, because your character improves by whoever you're with and whatever influence they may have. There's a saying, don't be the smartest person in the room, you know. So, Constance, we've got quite a bit of interaction here. I see some new names. Here's a individual I haven't seen before, and I'm afraid to pronounce it, but thank you for coming. Thank everybody for investing the time today to learn together, to share together, take advantage of this to connect together, to visit everybody's shows. Everybody's got a different twist, a different character to themselves, which also translates to the character of the show.
yeah.
It's like how you are is what you attract, and how you support is what you retain. So what's your thoughts towards the community and the character of something beyond just a person, but a thing, just like they talk about a wine and they'll say it has a character of, being nutmeg or raspberries or something.
I think my friends, they don't know this, but like I put them as a character. Okay, so I have a big heart for animals. I sometimes think that I love animals more than I love people for sure because there's no expectations in there. And I have 4 dogs, if you know. And we are president's associates for the zoo here in San Diego, local zoo. So what that means is we give money as much as we can for the animals, especially during COVID. They were spending $200,000 a month just on food, and they have nobody coming in. So we try to help, our local zoo. And my friends, when I think of them, I put them on an animal kingdom like, oh, so and so looks like their character's more like a panda, playful, have that little attitude. And everyone and my daughter's like, yeah, you're just like Chi Chi. And Chi Chi is our English bulldog. And I want to be her too because she doesn't give a you know what. You love her, you hate her, it doesn't matter. She does what she does. And she's still the favorite character in our house. So I want to be her when I grow up. And I think for me, really, sometimes I really love what you said about watch out for those people who talks crap about other people because you're going to be next on line. And you also talk about people pleaser, which is one of my problem. I thought I had it controlled at 50% capacity, but I think my heart tends to just open up to people who tends to provide time and effort because I'm really big on reciprocity. When I give love to somebody in terms of like heart or conversation, especially on LinkedIn when I support them, sometimes I know I do it without expectations, but it's really nice when you see people really do give back to you. So I tend to give love to like hearts to those people. And I think we build relationship based on that. But I think I have a new rule now. Okay. Harvey and I are going to be having a conversation soon. But for people to be in my inner circle, I'm not going to have anybody in my inner circle without having a video chat anymore. I got burned recently and I'm not doing that anymore. And to me, the character of the person, like you said, really shows is how they talk about other people when no one is listening except for you and that person. And to me, sometimes when they talk more about authenticity and loyalty, so much, I feel like they're the ones who's reflecting that mirror that they don't have one, right? But I also don't know some people's journey. So I tend to give grace and empathy on whatever they're going through. Maybe they're just having a hard time and they're trying to voice it in that capacity. But to me, being authentic is being yourself and not so um, focus on things that are super negative. I think it's easy for us to talk about crap and to focus on negativity when there's adversity happening, but your character will always show up no matter what. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree 100% because time will either promote you or expose you, and, things build little by little, but it's better to build better and then bigger than bigger and try to get better once the building's already up. So my advice to everybody is what's good for you is good for people like you. What you like to hear and receive is what they like to hear and receive. Who is giving first? But to your point, when you're giving to give and you're giving for people to benefit and not to receive, the currency you get in return should be trust, right? And if you can't trust the person you're helping, then you choose somebody you can, because there's only so much what you can do. And I think limits, boundaries build character. When there's a saying like, there's certain things, I don't care how much money it is, I would never do it, right? I mean, there's certain things that are like sacred. All the money in the world wouldn't mean anything, especially if I knew what I did to get it.
Yeah.
It would be like bad money. So so the same thing with people is you're making investments. time investments, thought investments. And here's the thing, if you don't build right, you just created distractions from your investments. Okay, now this person's bothering my head. Now this person said something, didn't do it. Now I got a puzzle, right? Someone promised, didn't come through. And I know it's not, then you get into character that relates to responsibility and accountability, right? Who goes first when he says, hey, listen, I'll take responsibility? How courageous is that? When you know yourself, if you're taking it, had some shared responsibility, but you weren't the only one, or you might even been a small part of it. But the person says, listen, let's just move on. I'll take responsibility for it. And then the question is, will someone move second? Or will you be the only one? And you see, you learn something about it, because if someone said that, I say, hey, don't feel like that because I have just as much to do with it as you. Then that person comes forward. The third person, who is not a sharer, not a giver, but a calculator, that says, okay, I put so much out. It's like, a loan shark. I put so much out there. What am I going to get back in return? Who's this? Who's that? And at the meantime, you leave those people behind, because if they raise their hand and says, hey, it's all your fault, it's all their fault, and that's why, a lot of people look at this program and they say, oh, this is like Pollyannish, and we don't talk about negative things. We don't disrespect each other. We don't talk about the other side. When you got an hour and you got 40 people and they're here to benefit, they can get all the negative stuff outside of here. This is not looking for balance between that and that. This is about taking people where they are and moving them up, because they feel vulnerable, comfortable, secure. And if you can build that into your character and then project it every day to the world. I mean, there's 900 million people registered on LinkedIn. If 1% knew, if everybody knew the show and only 1% showed up tomorrow, it'd be 9 million people who would then have a network to everybody. So it's just a matter of not if, it's a matter when you compress the knowledge awareness. And I think as individuals, we're not just audiences that we could allow ourselves just to be that, but we could be promoters. What I'm learning is people wait for themselves to create something really worthwhile and valuable, and then they post it. Well, a lot of times they can't think of something every day, and maybe they don't want to, but they can share somebody else's that they watched today, right? That was impressive, and now they're consistent sharing. It just says, hey, I found something better than I could have put together. I want to give it to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. What do you think, Constance?
Yeah. Nicole is here. I know she's working. We have the what I mentioned to you about the 50 inspirational connections. Really, what I find more interesting is that learning from others and talking about other people's adversity, I learn faster and more, right? Some people I do see that they're not self aware of what they're doing to others, whether that's a positive or a negative thing. When I say not self aware, it's not an automatic negative. Just like when I say, conflict management, automatically people are like, whoa, I got an attitude. We have a conflict. I'm like, no, conflict. And I even teach my students this, conflict is a good thing. But however, there is a threshold on conflict, right? So innovation is birthed through conflict. If you agree to every single thing that I say, and I'm limited to my capacity and my experience and my wisdom, we would never innovate beyond whatever we're talking about. But if you disagree respectfully because you have your own ideas and you have your own thoughts, so that I could get leveled up, right? Then we can actually innovate. So conflict is good. It's just that threshold. You have to have boundaries on your conflict and what is acceptable to you, what is not acceptable to you. And I think for me, creating that boundaries is part of my toolbox on character. And I'm still learning that every day. I think it's when I open up and break my own rules on boundaries, that's when I get burned, right? My character of being a people pleaser is sometimes when I go over the threshold that I put boundaries in, I get burned. But I also think that sometimes when we get hurt, like think about relationships, right? Like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, divorce, or breaking up. Usually you have a rebound or you hate everybody else. Like, I hate this people, or I hate men, or I hate women. They're all this and they're all that. We generalize because we're in pain. But really, to me, I wrote this on a post and I really thought about it. And I said, you are made for greatness and your mission is bigger than your adversity. So always stay positive no matter what, because that one experience and one person that shook your being, right, and challenge your character should always make you grow. Look for the positive of that cracks and make it grow, because one person shook you, but there's 10 people watching you and looking for answers from you and looking for that inspiration from you. Because last week I literally said, I'm going to delete LinkedIn. I am so over this negative and drama. That's what I said. And Rocky called me, Sister Raquel right there called me, and I talked to Nicole, and I have a really good support system. I'm like, guys, I'm super hurt. I don't understand people. And what I really realize is that the people who really are there for you in the moment of your downtimes and your like panic mode are those people that need to support you all the way through, even when you are in negative. And keep those people. And when I say support system, and I mean support system beyond LinkedIn, right? So Sana is my good support system as well. I have a lot of sisters that are supporting me. And that's what I've learned is that character is within you. It is something that can't be changed unless you want to change it, right? And when you talk about authenticity, make sure that whatever words that you're saying is you're walking that words, because people are, like I said, are watching you, and you're leaving a legacy tomorrow of whatever your character reflects on you. Just walk with a mirror. Walk with a mirror, like side eye, like, is this the one that this person, what I want my great grandkids to see? That's how I see character. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think there's so many thoughts. I mean, you're just wonderful, and your insights are so valuable. I hope people, if they can't write them down, come back to the recording, watch it when you can. There's so many important life lessons and happiness lessons, because at the end of the day, character is about being happy. It is about uh, sharing and accepting love from others. And I think, to your point, uh, on LinkedIn, you have people you don't know, you have people you connect with, you have people you interact with, and ultimately you have friendships, right? And friendship is where you have individuals that really care about you, LinkedIn or no LinkedIn, right? You can talk to people whether you're posting or inactive or whatever. And that's the value of it. People can't get from other people what they don't have themselves unless they do something to deserve it. And the people you meet here probably are not going to be the people who are your clients, but friends are better than clients. Friends stick around longer.
Mhm.
Friends feel for you, and friends understand what's happening to you could very easily be happening to them if you're doing the same thing together. It's just like who encountered it first, and what are we going to do to band together? Because you're right, there are so many threats, so many distractions, so many scammy, salesy,
Hip
people.
flap. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I said, hey, let's get the best of the best and steal off to an island in the sun somewhere, and not have to deal with the noise, not have to deal with the interruptions and disruptive people, and the people who just see in the mob, which I consider the people who do, posting, commenting, liking every day. The louder, the meaner seems to get all the attention. And the meek, the mild, the modest, the humble, the people who just are everyday, regular, good people with character, and I think a qualifier is someone's character, because it doesn't matter how much money someone has. There's a saying, money makes good people better and bad people worse, and so what you find is adversity, makes you think different. But here's the thing one shouldn't get themselves into is now putting something on the next person you meet based on the last person you left. You know, you ever hear somebody says, you know, I just did something with somebody and I just got taken advantage of. So now, from now on, I'm like, hey, I wasn't there. I wasn't
Yeah,
that person.
don't take it out on me. I'm just
So
a
now,
messenger. I
you
know.
know,
I have to level up myself. Like, okay, CJ, please stop. Like, this is not a boyfriend relationship. This is not, gosh, I'm married for 20 years. I hope my husband don't hear me about saying boyfriend. I'm gonna be in trouble. But I met so many good people. I wanna actually point out Ulu, Mr.
okay.
O, right? My brother O. I met him in an audio room and I felt like I feel vibration and a really strong like feeling for people, and he had the most integrity in that room in the conversation, and that attracts me to people who actually stands up for what they believe in even if they're the only person in that room. And I don't know this guy. I literally DM him and I said, hey, do you want a video chat? And I don't do video chats like that quick. I looked up people first, but I felt his pain and his heart was like really in there, and we video chatted. He turn on his thing. It was really late. I saw his son. Like, we connected. And the reason, because his character is full of integrity. At that moment, I saw it because there was so much pressure on that conversation. He never once fall down on that conversation to fight for his integrity, no matter what. And I love that about the person. I always think of a movie like, what is those movie in the war where you're the meek and the person's the only one, but then they were really like the king of a kingdom somewhere. That's how I felt that conversation was. I was like, I need to cultivate this friendship. He has really good integrity, and it's really hard to find someone you don't know that you feel that vibration of integrity. To me, integrity is a big thing. Being honest with yourself, being who you are, even if people feel like they're just attacking you because you're not just like them. And that's what I meant by conflict. Don't shy, guys. Whoever's listening, do not be afraid of conflict. Conflict is good. Just make sure you have boundaries and threshold. When it becomes disrespectful, that's when you go exit out, because you do not need wrinkles in the first place. Okay. I get wrinkled. I'm like, oh, this conversation is going to give me wrinkles. I'm out. You're right.
Mhm.
Because you don't need that. Your heart rate's going up. You're pumping. Why? You don't even know these people. Why? Move on. Right. And so to me, that's a strong character of like having yourself and having your own back. Because in that moment, no one has your back, it's except for you. So walk out when you need to. Take a deep breath and just chuck it to experience and move on. Right? What are your
I
thoughts?
think that's tremendous. So let's go through some great top. I think character is a basket of values and views, and it's changeable thing. Sure, because people change, their character changes, your viewpoint. I mean, how many people did you used to know were used to be like this, and now they changed? Maybe they did something, their life changed, their viewpoint changed, and maybe when you look at character, it's time frame. You know, their character when they were a kid was this. And as they grew up, their character changed to this. You know, and I guess the key to character is evolution. Are you evolving? Is your character getting stronger, friendlier? You know, are you more proud of yourself based on who you have become? And I think that's really key. Susanna's here. Thank you so much for being here. We mentioned Olu. Paul's here. Kinga's here, performative action. Kinga mentions. Kim's here. Kim's just a lovely lady. If you don't know her, reach out. I hope you all had a bundle away. Thanks for being here. You know, it's nice when people are thanking people, saying hello to everybody, sending heart emojis. Uh, Kristen's here. I've seen Kristen before. Christine says, to me, a lot of character is about admitting when you're wrong, accepting responsibility, and humility. It's like there's nothing wrong with saying you're wrong if you made a mistake. And that gets the intention out of the way. It's like, I'm so sorry it happened, but I never meant it to happen like that. Right? I mean, it's so, you know, I never thought a document would cause me to change my entire career, major pivoting coming soon. Well, you know, one thing about Paul, he sure is open to change. and he's definitely flexible to new ideas. Bobby Malowski is here. Thank you. Rocky says hello to
My
Paul.
friend, amigo. Hola,
Yeah, Rocky's
amigos.
the best. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll have to go along with Dr. Constance's. Some of these people, you'd be just lucky to have
Yeah.
the opportunity to get to be friends with them. Here's one from Ashif. Ashif's been very good contributing. Character is who you are versus reputation is what people only think of you. And maybe that's the key is how do you bridge the gap, between perception and reality.
Consistency.
Yeah,
This consistency. That's how you bridge
showing
the
up,
gap.
and people say, hey, this person couldn't have been living a lie all this time, for why? And when you're giving without getting, there shouldn't even be a question of you. The question should be of the individual, right? Is do I give something back in return? Do I share? Do I comment? It's just things like that. Let me see. Nicole's here. We just mentioned Nicole. Nicole's just unbelievable. She's been on the show. She's a person that her character continues to improve and blossom. And, some people just needed cultivation.
Yep.
Some people just needed someone to look after them or help them and that goes both ways. If you look after me and I look after you, how much stronger is that than if
She's
we're only looking
crazy.
out for
Nicole is
ourselves?
crazy because I created this project, okay? And she didn't know anything about it. And I said, hey, do you want to be on my project? And she literally didn't question me. She's just like, yeah, sure. I'm like, do you know what you just volunteer yourself into? Be careful with me. I'll give you homework. Some of and I love her because she jumps into um opportunities, and yes, and sometimes people are so afraid, I think, of saying yes to opportunities because they don't see it as opportunity, they see it as an obstacle. That's another thing that I want you guys to inject in your character, right? Is cultivate not only integrity but nurture your empathy and embrace your authenticity. And that means this: if someone gives you an opportunity, and sometimes it is too good to be true because people are asking me like, is your project going to have like fees at the end? And I'm like, do I look like I'm selling anything? No, I'm not selling. I'm selling your story. That's what I'm doing. And the reason I'm doing this is because I claim to level up the world. How am I leveling up the world by giving you like, oh, this is going to cost you $2,000? Well, that's not leveling up the world, right? I do have a business, but this one is not about that. It's about multiplying our community. Like Don said, there's 900 million people. Even if we get 1% of 9 million, which we're nowhere near that, it would be so nice. And I have to start small, right? Because that's the only thing that I could scale. I only have Nicole right now volunteering for this project. Really, the goal is to put people like all of these people right here, they have their own story. They have their own legacy. They have their own impact in their own community. Now, what I want to do is multiply that impact in a global scale because my podcast, my platform in the audio world, is in 6 continents and 70 plus nations and countries. Why wouldn't you use me to get your story out there, right? To get you to that story of what are about you that you love, because sometimes we forget to love ourselves. And because we have experiences where people are always negative, rejecting us, right? Playing in our minds, playing in our hearts, but that doesn't change who you are as a person, which is your character. It actually should look at this person and what they did to you is not a reflection of you per se, other than your choices of letting this person in, but it's a choices of what they did. And what you have to do is focus on the positive, like what have you learned that you can use to put in your toolbox so that you can grow yourself, so that you can make an impact, so that you can have a legacy for you and your circle and your family. That's how I see it. And I think when people said yes, character change, I believe there should be values and morals that you've learned from your parents and from your family and your culture, that 10 years of your life is the foundation of your life for the rest of your life. And that actually pretty much have your character. However, I know that in the military, they change you. right? They change you and said they transform you and says, do this because it builds character. I always like my kids now, she's 18. I'm like, you need to find a job that does this, this, and this because it builds a character. And she looks at me, she's like, I thought it was the first 10 years. I'm 18. I'm like, no, no, we're still building for the rest of your life. This is part of your character right now, building this. And I have to be careful with my words with my kids because they come back all the time.
Yeah, you got to be careful with a lot of words. I want to, play off of that a little bit because, when my son was in college, he went to UNLV and he became a personal trainer and he almost got a job in a health club, right? And I said to him, what are you going to do? He says, well, personal training, right? And I said, well, what are they going to pay you? It wasn't much, $10, $11 an hour, right? And I said, so what are you going to do when you're not doing that? He said, well, cleaning the locker rooms, doing all that stuff. And I said, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a job for $11 an hour if you get one of the best internships you can find there, right? And he ended up working for the minor league hockey team as an announcer. And then he became a coach and he interned for the Denver Outlaws Major League Soccer team, Major League Lacrosse team. So anyways, fast forward, he took that team as a general manager, youngest in professional sports, to 12 national championship games, and then moved on. And it just shows you, and I told him, I said, what are you going to learn cleaning locker rooms if you work for free for someone and you're around great organizations? And for the first couple of years, he said, Dad, I'm working for nothing. Everybody else has got a job making money. I said, yeah, but little short-term pain, you'll get a lot of long-term gain. And eventually had an office at the Broncos Stadium and everything else. I said, how can you couldn't pay for this access? He's sitting in the owner's box. So, I mean, the beauty of telling somebody there is more in you and who you surround yourself with. There is something said for the 5 people you spend the most time with, that's the average of who you are. So who do you want to be? Find the people already are and start assimilating with them. If they're listening to country music, you're listening to country music. If they're bowling, you're bowling, right? So pick out what you need and also pick out what you can bring. I look at this every hour, every day that we do this as a picnic. Everybody gets to bring a dish and everybody gets to taste from everybody else's dish, right? And who is bringing something that people can't wait to see what it is tomorrow? And I think that's what these discussions, it's not just, can I get value, but can I get support? Can I conversation? Can I get somebody who, when I see them, makes me feel so much better than the people I just left, right? Some people have nothing. I mean, we talk about families and support that we have. Some people lack that. And those are the people who are even more sensitive. And there's some people in this world who can't quit. There's nothing to quit to. I mean, they're on a treadmill that can't go forever, but they're doing their best. And that's why shows like this, to the earlier point, with 900 million people, and we've got maybe 50, 60, we're not even scratching the scratch. And the only way that's going to be done is if people start moving up and in and through this. Because I know I can only dedicate so much time. I'd never do 900 million or anything near that. And I know everybody I'm dealing with. So our goal is to share, because if we can soften the market, right, and make people more aware that these shows happen, not only that, but maybe we can change the complexion and culture of their shows to make them a little kinder, to make them a little more supportive, to find out that the yelling, screaming, shocking, it gets and it's like you get turned off by it. And the other thing I see about shows is too many people make it about themselves. Like, I'm here, I know you should listen, versus for you. What can we do for you? And I think that's the first thing you should ask somebody. And I've always found that reassuring after a really good call. Is there anything I can do for you right now that you can think of? Most
Yeah.
cases they'll say no, but they'll say, well, I appreciate it. And it sounded sincere. So, you know, what's your thoughts on, not only character, but how you continue to help other people build character in themselves?
Well, I continue to build my own character because I can't pour from an empty cup. If
Mhm.
I'm low on energy, if I'm low on my good energy and juju, I can't really pour into anybody. And I belong to a lot of groups and I teach full time and I'm a director. I have people under me and I am assistant dean, and so I have a lot of hats to fill. So I can't pour in an empty cup. So what I usually do is self-reflection. I meditate and ask for guidance sometimes just out of the air and said, "Hey, I kind of need guidance today," right? Because um I find like some of my friends that I talk to, instead of helping me, like, I told you this. And it doesn't make me feel good when you're like, you're dumb. You're a dummy because I told you this. That's how I feel when people tell me that. So some of the people that really know me said, hey, by the way, I have friends in Italy and Singapore and everywhere. And I have a best friend in Hong Kong. And she told me, she's like, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I'm going to tell you I told you so. I'm like, oh, stop. And she's like, okay, I still love you, but, and I think sometimes just being quiet and just in silence and reflect on your own thoughts and really reflect on your own emotions. And I always try to take something positive about the negative experience, because that is the true learning about yourself is, can you get yourself out of that negative rot, that negative vibration, that negative energy? Then I'm winning. I'm winning when I can get myself out of there. And like I said, for me, it's like I always tell myself, CJ, you're made for greatness, and your mission is bigger than your adversity right now. So stay positive and focus on the prize, right? And so I always keep telling myself that, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then just making sure that, like you said, surround yourself with people that will help you level up, not just financially, spiritually, but mindfully and also emotionally, because we're an emotion being. Why do you think marketing works? Right? I studied neuromarketing from one of the best surgeon out there who taught us how neuromarketing works. Why do you think it works? It's because you are connected. You're emotionally connected to whatever product and service that they're trying to do, even if you don't need it. And America is a consumer country, billions of dollars that we've spent on that, right? But at the same time, you have to look at your emotions and separate your thoughts and your emotions. And that's what I've learned from being a coach practitioner of CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, is separate those two so I can pull myself out, because I'm still building my character today. And my wish also, Don, is your show, my show, Brian Schulman's show. Who else is there? Trevor's show, Mike Asherbanner's show, Sia, Raquel. We need to be in one platform and really level up our community, because in pieces, we're okay, but together we are stronger. And I feel like all of us, Paul, Susanna has their own show too. I know that right now they're doing it on their own. But I think if they start having people in there, which I know Paul was talking about, I think we need all of that show together in a live, have a 2-hour conversation on how we can help our community. Ask the community who's right here, what do you guys want? What do you guys want to see? How can we build your character? Right, to help our community, because I want that ripple effect of positivity. I'm not saying you're not going through adversity. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying through adversity together we can stay positive.
Yeah, I think that's so universally true what you're saying because, everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own way of doing things. And I think LinkedIn Live allows everybody the creativity and the personalization they choose. And eventually they become the character of the show because they're modeling, they're inviting, they're qualifying. And more importantly, a responsibility of a creator is to curate, is to take control of the show. to set boundaries, to build expectations with people there and people who come there. And I always believe, the first one's on me, the next one's on them, right? I'll give everybody a chance to share their voice, how they uh, appreciate the audience, how they serve the audience. I mean, I keep looking at it because we're getting like 200 to 300 comments during the show. Is me and the co-hosts are here just like if people are waiting to eat and you have 300 people in line, what you do is feed them. You wouldn't start talking about yourself. You wouldn't be sharing stories that, like, yeah, because the only time I tell stories is to reinforce a point, not to show off. When someone says, well, I just been to Europe and I just did this, I just bought a car, it's like you're just talking to, it's like eating in front of hungry
Go over my
people,
profile.
right?
Yeah.
And saying, I just can't wait for you to try it. So Mike's here. Actually, Mike is going to be coming on the show with Jody Lamb. So I'm trying to find people who are two people who already work together. And I think to allude to Dr. Constance's point, is I'm looking at creating more and more opportunities for more and more people, looking at now maybe events where 5, 6 people can come on, about a certain topic or something that they're all related to. And that way we keep bringing people together. See, one thing I know about LinkedIn Live, it's not where you broadcast from, it's where you broadcast to, right? Because everything goes through a restream or a StreamYard. So whether it's coming from me or coming from uh, Dr. Constance's platform, it doesn't matter. It's still going to feed into my profile. But here's the beauty of it. The audience expands with the people on the screen if they connect their audience to it, right? So if Dr. Constance's audience is seeing me and my audience is seeing her, we got double benefit for the same time. And what you also find that's very curious is when you look at similar connections between people, we could have 30,000 each and only 10% are common. That means
Hmm.
27,000 each on both sides didn't even know each other. And then what's more important, the 30,000 didn't know each other 30,000. So,
Amazing ripple effect.
yeah, and it's right there. And all you got to do is use the multiplier effect. So when people
Hmm.
other people are their competition, no, other people are the legs to their stool. And the more legs you have on a stool, the more sturdy it is if you just got one leg versus 3 or more. And I think if to the Dr. Constant, because she is familiar with larger scale, bigger picture things, is people limit themselves by themselves because
Hmm.
everything has had to fit into here's what I can do, make sure no one does it.
I don't care. Yeah.
When you spend more money on insurance than the thing's worth, you know,
Yeah.
here's the thing, anything you did yesterday, you can go back to doing tomorrow if you take a day and do something different. No one's burning
Yeah.
bridges, but it's the get out of your comfort zone. I think Nike nailed it when their slogan was just do it. It's the
Hmm.
doing where the fun is, where the learning is. The thinking is frustrating, because there's always something else to think about. And it's actually doing it, feeling it, understanding it. In the beginning, it's not familiar, it's not comfortable, but it's your discomfort versus someone being discomfortable to you and walking
Hmm.
around and saying that person just start renting in my head for nothing, and now they're making me crazy, and and
Yeah.
at that point I just got to stop it, right? It's like
Yeah.
a loud radio that someone turned on, and you just got to get up and turn the thing down or off. Uh,
Or just throw it. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you feel so much better after you do something you've been holding off. And every time you do it, you say, I should have done it earlier. And next time, that's what you got to say to yourself. After you set boundaries and didn't follow it, and something crept through, and you say, next time, I got to be stronger here.
Yeah.
I got
And also try the word, delete the word like I can't. Just say maybe, not today, or not yet. Really, because when you have those words, somehow your words reflect in your brain and you're starting to believe it. Okay? That's how even like abusive relationship works is When someone tells you you're dumb, you're this, you're ugly, you're whatever, and even though you know in the back of your head you might not be, you tend to believe it when it's repeated all the time. And you're like, whoa, maybe I am, maybe I am stupid. Maybe I am this. And so I always tell them, okay, just say, instead of saying I am this on a negative light, just say maybe, or take the word just, right? We're just learning this and I'm just this person. No, you're not. Like I used to say that too. Like, I'm just a teacher. I'm thinking, wait, I am not just a teacher. I am the teacher, right? And so it's, for me, a teacher is an advanced student. You're always going to be an advanced student because you're trying to teach others. But at the same time, I also realized that I used to be told back in the days that you have to be, anybody super older than you knows everything more than you. I think to me, I changed that by everybody who's experienced life in a different way and wisdom always can add to my value. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. I mean, obviously, I'm learning from a dog. Okay, not even human. I'm learning how to have attitude from my dog. Okay, it's crazy, but I am, because my dog's like, I don't care if I'm chubby and fat and short and whatever. I used to love me, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay, then that's what it is. And so she's the authentic. My dogs are authentic being. And that's what I'm trying to be, like, not care about anything, but sometimes it just doesn't happen for me. So I'm still learning that, adding to my character, my adversity. So I'm like, I need to cultivate that integrity. The people that have integrity in my circle nurture empathy, keep nurturing that empathy, and embrace authenticity on people. And when I say authenticity, it's really hard. And so now I'm putting a tangible thing in that authenticity. When people are like, I want to be authentic or I am authentic. Okay, video chat me. If you can't video chat me, out of the way. Because to me, there's something fishy about
Mhm.
people who want to support you, but doesn't turn on the video and I can't see you.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
no, that's so true because when I video chat everybody I before I do anything with them. And I reach out to almost everybody in this audience. If you're here, I'm going to reach out and have a call because I want to know what you think, what I could do better. But more importantly, I want to see you eye to eye, and sometimes you get on and they don't put their camera on. I'm like, okay, it'll be a minute or two. And I say, are you going to put your camera on today? And they say, no, I'm not made up, or I don't, and I'm saying, well, then I'm not going to put my camera on. And now, why did we even have a video call? I mean, you knew it was a
Yeah.
Zoom, you know? And I just say to myself, well, that's enough. That's just too much of a mystery, and I'm not going to work with it. The thing is
Mhm.
everything on LinkedIn is, in a way, is a sorting process.
Yeah.
It's like this fits here, this fits there, this changes here. And anytime you ask for something in the best way possible with the best intention and someone says no, then that's their limit. They're in a self-limiting thing. If I say to somebody, hey, I love talking with you and seeing you all the time, let's have a call. And they say, I'm too busy. Then it just says, okay, well, that's somebody that's
Bye.
going to go into that pile, and I will never think that could have been something. And the other thing is because we see each other almost every day in so many different places, that in itself should be an open door to people, right? If I see you every day and I know you and you know me, I'm definitely going to find time to talk to you and get a better chance of understanding. But here's the thing: the philosophy is, if you can't do it, could we do it? So you can ask yourself, where am I a little short today? I mean, if you came over to somebody's house and say, I'm baking a cake, I ran out of sugar, can you give me a cup? It'd be the easiest gift you could give somebody, right? A cup of sugar. How many times does it happen? And that's where someone should be able to come into someone's kitchen who knows them well enough to say, I just need this to get over the hump. And it's not money, it's advice, it's
Mm-mm.
support. If someone
Mhm.
says, hey, let me take a look at it with you. No different if something broke down in your house, a washing machine, and somebody knew something, right? You say, can you take a look at it? Tell me what I should do here or what I'm dealing with here. And that's the key,
Yeah.
is learning, where am I here? Is this $10? Is this like I got a new dryer? Whatever it is, solve the confusion in your mind with the people that you know have been through these things. And here's the one real benefit of being much older is you look back and everything is already in the books, right? And the point is you can go back to so many experiences and say, this fits this now again, you know? And based on that, it's the confidence you have of knowing, hey, I might be a little off, but I'm going to save myself a ton of time if I cut it right here. Or you can just say, I don't think we're aligned. You know, no one has to make a judgment. Nobody has to say, well, I think
Yeah.
you're up to my level, or I don't think you have anything to give me. But it's just say, you know, the way you talk, or I wouldn't even get into that. I would just say it's not a good fit. Why
Yep.
spend any more time? And, you know, is that better than putting something off? And then how authentic are you when you're having calls with people you can't wait to get off the phone with? And now you're given mixed messages. So I think character is based on discipline of keeping in character. You know, you can't be a character 90% of the time with all your people, and then 10% turn into somebody else for someone else. And I think it's selling out or selling up. You know, and I think that's an important concept. So, what's your thoughts? This has been very intriguing.
Well, when you said that last word, I'm like, I am somebody else to my kids. I'm yelling all the time. I swear. I'm like, this is why I can't sing anymore. I'm yelling all the time. That's why, because literally I say no multiple times, but they know to ask me when I have a live show. Then they're like, Mom, can I go to some and so? Because I just want to shut them up. And so so I tend to say yes. So now, and I make a new rule. I'm like, if you ask me while I'm on a show, it's an automatic no for the next 3 months. So now they don't even ask me anymore. And I love that rule. So I think for me, my last message to you, whatever you're going through, whoever you are right now, is whatever adversity, I'm sticking to what I've written, is that your story from the past, even for the last 5 minutes, has already been written. Your story tomorrow and the next 5 minutes has not. Make a conscious and intentional choice. I don't want to say to stay positive, but to stay true to yourself, right? Continue unlocking your potential. Yes, question opportunities that seems to be too good to be true, but don't close that door because that door might not be open for the rest of whatever. Sometimes opportunity comes only once. And if you don't grab it by the bullhorn because you're afraid of whatever, it's never going to come to you, right? So you are made for greatness and your mission is bigger than your adversity. So always stay positive no matter what because someone's always watching you.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful because time is on your side if you allow it to be. You know, there's something to patience. There's something to coming back to something. Sometimes in the heat of the battle, you say, hey, listen, I just got to catch my breath, take a walk, get back to this. And when you get back to it, you're a little bit more level headed. You're a little bit more thoughtful. And I always tend to calm it down more because I always realize it's just important to get the message out, not to hammer it in, not to add a lot of emotion to it, because then you're building more conflict. And here's the other thing: anything you write is always going to be there. You can never unwrite it. You know, anything you say is going to be remembered. And again, it's not, hey, they deserve it. I should have yelled at them more. No, it does it fit your character, right? If you have a certain shape, right, whatever that is, you want a good fit. And if you're proud of your character, you know, a lot of people, they won't have an issue until someone insults their character, right? A lot of people can do things for people, but when they move a little too much into someone's character, which is their pride, which is their heritage, which is whatever it is that makes them who they are, then things change. And the difference, I think, is Why not be proactive instead of reactive? Why wait when you can create? I mean, here's the thing, whatever we talk about, whatever word it is, it all has to be based on hard work. Doesn't have to be difficult work from a standpoint of being sad. I'm happy every day I'm working, or I wouldn't be working. I'd be
Yeah.
doing something else that would make me happy. So the point is you work hard because you see an opportunity. You see something can get you from here to there. You see people who are getting there and you want to get with. When you open up and when you're not alone, that makes all the difference in the world. When you're sitting by yourself in a chair with a loop going through your head, nobody there, what can happen out of it? Nothing good. But if you say, hey, I've been in a funk, you know, I know you're so wonderful when I talk. I know the people, the guests on this show, when I'm done with a show, they have filled my heart with advice and insights and sharing, and it models for me. I want to be more like Dr. Constance. I want to be more like Rocky, and people should be more of the best of other people, right? It's almost like comedians who visit other comedian shows, right? And it's like, hell, that's a
Yeah.
good joke. I got to remember that. And then people,
Yeah.
share with each other and want to help each other because at the end of the day, people may come for what you offer, but they'll stay for you. And that's why you have no competition. If you're afraid someone's
Mhm.
going to go somewhere and see somebody better and enjoy themselves more, you know what? They'll find their way there eventually, anyways. And why not be that person who says, hey, I want the best of you because we're playing to full houses all the time here every day. And there's more and more people who are coming. So it'd be great if those people then, instead of following somebody, takes the benefit of everybody and creates their own show again. And the best thing to do is get on other people's shows, you know? So
You're like, uh-oh, alarm.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But I think that's a stepping stone is what we do. Hopefully other people will do, for themselves. Because the best gratification I ever get is someone says, I've been sitting around waiting to do something. And finally, I heard a show and then I did something, and all of a sudden things are opening up. And now, I see, here's one thing in closing. There's so many people who used to be somebodies in their life, maybe as a kid, and then somehow they consider themselves a nobody. And now they find themselves as another somebody again. And how wonderful is that to get another chance at something you thought had passed you by or no one cared. And if you walk into a family like this, and if you take all these groups, okay, Gretchen has her flight attendant, I mean, I can name more and more people. It's so limited in the scope of what could be. And together we can be. And I think that
Mhm.
should give hope is, hey, I just want to get on the bus, and see where it's going. And maybe one day I'll drive it and one day I'll own it. And that's what everybody's ambition should be. So with that said, final thoughts, Dr. Constant, I want to thank everybody. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody. I tried. Um, we'll always try to do better. Doctor?
Um, I thing that's looping in my head in terms of character is collaboration. Okay. And I also wanted to say, Roxanne, thank you for being here. I know you're going through your cancer, but thank you for being here and thank you for showing up today. Another one I wanted to also say is that I had so many deaths in my family that recently my daughter lost one of her friend from a car accident. This is why my like worst nightmare. Anyhow, um, don't wait for tomorrow. I know that people are like, oh, we always have second chances for tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. If you can live and love yourself and love whoever you don't even care for today is the best day. Today is it. Live your day today as if it is your last because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not even guaranteed to wake up. Okay. So live your day today. Be happy, whatever that means to you. Align yourself with who you are and who you want to be. And if you need someone to push you, I'll push you. Just DM me and I'm like, okay, what do you need? I'll push you. What I want to say is thank you so much for your time today, Don. It's really such a blessing and such a happy moment when I'm here because it makes me learn things to do more. To I want to do more every time I'm in your show. I'm thinking always.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
make me better for being here and give me inspiration and food for thought because we're all on the same journey. We may be in different positions, we may have been on it longer, but the benefit of coming in early is you get the benefit of not having the same mistakes we make if we can share them. I mean, if we're kind of guides and we've been up and down the mountain 5, 6 times, wouldn't you rather be with someone who can share that? And if anything, it just showed Dr. Constance's you just reached out to somebody you hardly even knew and says, let me help you. Okay. And that's so generous. And it was so natural because it was a distillation of your character. Sometimes you can't help but show your character without even knowing it. And that's the best way to project yourself, not boasting or showing off, but doing wonderful things for people in front of people. That's magical, when someone can do that. So anyways, it's I know people have things to do. So thank you very much. Rest up. 23 hours from now, Rita Works is going to be here with something Wednesday last week. I think it's Wisdom Wednesday. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Constance, and have a wonderful day. You all deserve it. Bye for now.
Bye,